worshippers in Mexico were left stunned after witnessing a real-life phenomenon of a Virgin Mary statue crying. Hundreds of skeptics and believers gathered around the statue in hopes of witnessing the tearful Virgin Mary in action.
Some of Sister Agnes Sasagawa's crazy predictions are coming true and people are scared. Folks, we might just be witnessing the absurd prophecies made by Sister Sasagawa come into the limelight right before our eyes. The question is everything up to fate or the predictions of an eccentric Japanese nun? This goes way back to the 1970s, when Sister Sasagawa gained worldwide attention as she began to receive visions of the Virgin Mary in the city of Akita. Now these weren't ordinary visions. Her prophecies contained warnings about the world perishing. Scary, right? Dealing with her health issues, Sister Sasagawa turned towards Christianity after an encounter with a nurse whose love and admiration for the Catholic faith enlightened her. This was the beginning of her life dedicated to serving society and broadcasting her warnings and prophecies. The first creepy sign people discovered was when the statue in the convent was first seen weeping. From that day to recently, it wept a total of 101 times, an occurrence witnessed by many and continues to attract many tourists. It's shocking that a statue was caught crying, right? But along with these tears came dire warnings for the world.
And now hundreds of people are traveling to El Canal to witness this. They've also witnessed redness around her eyes, which we usually get when we've been crying for days.
Her messages contained warnings about trials that would befall humanity. Many people dismissed these at the time, but recent events made them rethink. As I told you, if men do not repent and better themselves, the Father will inflict a terrible punishment on all humanity. It will be a punishment greater than the deluge, such as one will never be seen before. This ominous warning set alarm bells ringing, and for good reason, because in July 2024, Sister Sasagawa revealed a new message from her guardian angel. She forewarned us about catastrophic events on a global scale. According to the nun, we are on the brink of extinction and the collapse of mankind, because, let's be real, the world ain't getting any better. The survivors will find themselves so desolate that they will envy the dead. The only arms that will remain for you will be the rosary and the sign left by my son. Each day recite the prayers of the rosary. With the rosary, pray for the Pope, the bishops, and priests. Now let's discuss some of her famous prophecies that are currently coming to pass. The demon will be especially implacable against souls consecrated to God. The thought of the loss of so many souls is the cause of my sadness. If sins increase in number and gravity, there will be no longer pardon for them. Prophecy number 1. Huge natural disasters. The Virgin Mary warned that the world would see devastating natural events like earthquakes, floods, storms, and more. If we look at recent events, Hurricane Milton hit Florida, and everyone is still reeling from the damage. But this is just the beginning of climate change. The heat waves in Europe and the wildfires in Canada seem a little too close to Sister Sasagawa's predictions.
This is one of more than 900 wildfires that are burning in Canada right now, but this one, it is particularly hard, as Jasper was considered the jewel of the national park system here.
Prophecy number 2. Sasagawa said, "The work of the devil will infiltrate even into the church in such a way that one will see cardinals opposing cardinals, bishops against bishops." She foresaw the deep divisions tearing through the church and the crisis of canceled priests, shaking the very foundations of faith, horrifying moral scandals, bitter conflicts within sacred walls. I mean, the ripple effects are undeniable and uncontainable, right? People, Christian or not, are trying so hard to deal with their own inner turmoil, fueling a rebellion against those once seen as closest to God.
The coalition for canceled priests. I mean, it's not hard to believe that there is now such a thing, as personally I know many priests.
Prophecy number 3. I desire this also from your community, that it loves poverty, that it sanctifies itself, and prays in reparation for the ingratitude and outrages of so many men. Today, we live in a society driven by consumerism, instant gratification, and the need to prove oneself high on the socio-economic ladder. But Sister Sasagawa urges people to give up these urges and desires and move towards feeling grateful for everything the Lord has provided us.
Did you know that today the average woman buys 68 new pieces of clothing per year, and on average only keeps each piece for 2 years?
Prophecy number 4. Fire will fall from the sky and will wipe out a great part of humanity, the good as well as the bad, sparing neither priests nor faithful. Could this be a hint towards World War III? A couple of rumors were circulated back in 2022 of a possible nuclear fire, but they were put to rest very quickly. However, with the war in Gaza and the Ukraine dispute, war seems to be inevitable. And maybe Sister was actually right.
Countries are preparing for World War III. Yep, that's right, the US have been rehearsing dropping nuclear weapons in Europe. This comes amid escalating tensions with Russia, and just 10 days after President Joe Biden warned of a nuclear apocalypse.
Prophecy number 5. The priests who venerate me will be scorned and opposed by their confreres. Churches and altars sacked. You know, it's not too unusual to hear news of fights in churches and other holy places, but it's happening way more frequently these days, and the quarrels are much more bloody. With religious wars and hate crimes on the rise, people are deferring to behavior that is immoral and unacceptable.
And WDSU reporter Gina Swanson is on your side with why the house of worship has now become a house divided.
Sister Sasagawa encourages everyone to speak to their Lord and repent for their sins, or mankind will approach its untimely demise. She asks everyone to turn to God while they still can and pray that these disasters end. With courage, speak to your superior. He will know how to encourage each one of you to pray and to accomplish works of reparation. Pray very much the prayers of the Rosary. I alone am able still to save you from the calamities which approach. Those who place their confidence in me will be saved. These visions have already proved to be terrifyingly true, but Sister Sasagawa wasn't done just yet. On June 28th, during one of her praying sessions, Sister Sasagawa felt an intense burning pain in her left hand and arm. When she looked down, she saw a cross-shaped wound that was bleeding. If that wasn't scary enough, the wooden statue of the Virgin Mary in the chapel began to bleed from the same spot. I don't know about you guys, but this is all giving me goosebumps. The signs were undeniable and difficult to ignore, especially since it was witnessed by everyone present. The similarities between Sister Sasagawa's prophecies and current global events raise many questioning eyebrows. Could these prophecies hold even an iota of truth? Are we currently living at the beginning or the end? While many believers are working towards strengthening their faith and seeking protection from the devil, others have responded with skepticism. Critics argue that there isn't much proof to anything she's saying besides her word in the churches. Over the past years, many people have tried to predict the end of the world, and none were successful. Is there a chance that this is all a lie too? Do you believe we are living through the prophecies of Akita? Are we facing the consequences of turning away from spiritual truths? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.